All right, in this video, we're going to learn about linear functions, and it relates to everything that you know so far about the equation y equals mx plus b. It's just that now we're calling the slope instead of m, we're calling that a, and instead of y, we just use that in function notation. So y has been replaced with f of x. To find the x and the y intercepts, you're going to find the x-intercept, you set y equal to 0, so set your equation equal to 0 and then solve for x. And to find the y-intercept, you just do x equals 0. You plug x equals 0 in and figure out what your y is worth. And just a tiny bit of vocabulary, if somebody is asking you to find the zeros of the function, that means the same thing as find the x-intercepts. So if we're trying to graph our linear function, the easiest thing to do would be just to look at this and look, this is our slope, is -2, and then the y-intercept is 5. So what I'm going to do is just start at 5 and plot a point, and then use the slope, go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, and then plot that line. So you can do it graphically, you can also do it algebraically, where you're going to plug 0 in for x, and then just work this out. The function says f of x equals -2 times x plus 5, so -2 times 0 plus 5, and that would be 5. Or if we can put in 0 for y, so -2x plus 5, the output is 0. And then solve that little equation and figure out our y. So subtracting 5 from both sides, we get -2x is equal to -5. Dividing through by -2, x equals +5 over 2, which is the same thing as 2.5. And then plot those ordered pairs. So let me just show you how to do this on Desmos. We would go to desmos.com and open up the graphing calculator, and then we're going to type in y equals -2 x, and then plus 5. Okay, and then you can just tap on that x-intercept and it'll give you the coordinate points, and same with the y-intercept, it'll give you the coordinate points for both of those. All right, let's find a formula for a linear function. So let's say that we have a 100-gallon tank full of water and it's being drained at a rate of 5 gallons per minute. So write a formula for a linear function that models the number of gallons of water in the tank. So since it's being drained, I'm going to have a negative. The rate of change is -5. So we're losing 5 gallons per minute. And we started with that initial amount of 100. Okay, the second part is how much water is in the tank after 4 minutes. So that would be evaluating plugging 4 in and solving for the output, and that would give us the number of gallons. So this would be -20 plus 100, which is 80. So there's 80 gallons left after 4 minutes. We're going to use the x and the y-intercepts to graph f and also interpret what the meaning of those intercepts is. So the initial value, the y-intercept, is 0, 100. So there's that point, because in this equation, when you plug 0 in, you would get 0 plus 100, right? There's just 100. So that is the output, the y value, when x is 0. And that is the same thing as the y-intercept. Okay, so finding the y-intercept, plug 0 in for x. Now to find the x-intercept, we're going to set our equation equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so I'm going to add 5x to both sides. Dividing through by 5, we get x equals 20. So there is the x-intercept. Okay, so in 20 minutes, there will be 0 water in the tank. That's what that x-intercept means. The initial amount, the y-intercept means the initial amount. So initial amount was 100, and the x-intercept says in 20 minutes, there will be 0 water in the tank. So the number 20 in the x-intercept corresponds to the time in minutes it takes to empty the tank, and the number 100 in the y-intercept corresponds to the number of gallons of water in the tank initially. So a function that's defined f of x equals b, where b is just some number, it's a constant function, and its graph will be a horizontal line, and it won't have an x-intercept. So let's look at an example. So for example, f of x equals -3 is just a horizontal line running through every single y value is -3, and it doesn't have an x-intercept. Now the only exception to that would be, let's say that our graph was f of x equals 0, and then, you know, it is every x is 0. So that's kind of a special case there. All right, so let's look at slope. It's the change in y over the change in x. And so unless, if we have the change in x's is 0, like for example, if we had a vertical line, then the slope would be undefined. And for horizontal lines, the slope equals 0. All right, and then we can use that formula to find the slope going between two points, -5,3 and 2, -1. So we just need to be really careful with our negatives. If we're putting this into a graphing calculator, or sorry, just any calculator, just be careful that you use parentheses around your whole numerator and your whole denominator. So let me just show you how you would enter, how we would put that into the calculator. So we're going to have, so let's see, parentheses, and then 3 minus a -1, end parentheses, and then divide, that creates the fraction, and then parentheses, -5 minus 2, end parentheses. And then on Desmos, it'll give that as a decimal. And if we want to see that as a fraction, just push that button that has the little circle with the blocks for the fractions. Okay, so that gives -4/7. And then graphically, if a line is going down, it's going to have a negative slope. For example, -4/3. There's only one negative, so I usually make my numerator negative, so that as I'm graphing, I'm going down if it's negative, and then I'm always going right, in this case, right 3. So if your slope is positive, then your line's going to go up from left to right, and if it is negative, then your line is going to go down from left to right, and if it's equal to 0, it's just a horizontal line. Okay. And then a vertical line with with x-intercept k0 has the equation of the form x equals k, and its slope is undefined. So for example, this vertical line x equals 2, you can see that it has an x-intercept, it doesn't have a y-intercept, and its slope is undefined. Interpreting slope as the average rate of change. So for example, in 2006, online sales on Thanksgiving Day were 205 million, and in 2011, these sales reached 480 million. So find the average rate of change. Well, slope is the average rate of change. And so that's just asking me to find the slope. Okay, so slope says the change in y over the change in x. So we just need to write down our information in terms of two ordered pairs. In 2006, the sales were 205 million, and in 2011, the sales were 480 million. And then we have an x1 and a y1, an x2 and a y2, and then we can just plug those into our equation. So y2 is 480 minus y1, which is 205. So 480 minus 205 is 275, and then x2 is 211, x1 is 2006, and so subtract those and we get 5. And then 275 divided by 5 gives us an average rate of change of 55. Okay, so let's interpret what that actually means. Online Thanksgiving Day sales are modeled by just a line segment connecting these 2 points. The average rate of change is equal to the slope of the line and indicates that sales on Thanksgiving Day increased because it's positive, so they increased on average $55 million per year within that time period. Now, just note, this is an average, so it's not like every single day is exactly 55, but on average, that's what we've got during that time period. And then we can see that graphically, just making sure that we are showing what the x and the y variables represent. So we want to make sure that we label that graph. All right, so slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. B is the y-intercept and m is the slope. So let's match the equation to the graph, and you really want to think about whether your line is increasing from left to right or decreasing. So here I think of it as like a little ball would be dropping down the hill as we move from left to right, so that has a negative slope. And also this D has a negative slope as well because it's dropping from left to right. Okay, so I look to see which equations have negative slope. So those, let's see, A and B are both positive slope. So now we think about our y-intercept. In this case, A has a negative y-intercept, and so this line right here looks like the one that might match. So y equals positive slope, positive 2x minus 3. And meanwhile, B could be 2x plus 3 because it has a positive y-intercept. And C could either be negative 2x plus 3 or minus 3 because it has a negative y-intercept. Then we would have this one be negative 2x minus 3. And this one, because of that positive y-intercept, would be y equals negative 2x, negative slope, and then a positive y-intercept. Okay, we're going to write an equation for this situation. So in 2006, 60 billion text messages were sent in the United States. During the next 6 years, text messaging increased on average by 407 billion messages per year. And our job is to find values for m and b so that y equals mx plus b models the number of text messages sent in billions x years after 2006. Okay, so x is years after 2006. So when x is 0, that would represent 0 years after 2006. So that would be, this would be when x equals 0. And y is modeling the number of text messages. So y models the number of text messages. So 60 billion is my y. Okay, so what's given there is actually an ordered pair. When x is 0, y is 60. And that is my initial value. That's my y-intercept. And so that 60, that is the y value of the y-intercept. So that is the b in y equals mx plus b. So if I'm trying to write an equation, y equals mx plus b, that initial amount, in this case, is 60 billion. So we would have, we still need to find our slope, right? Okay, so reading through this, I'm given the slope because it's saying that the text messages increased on average. Average rate of change, that means slope. And they are changing, increasing at a rate of 407 billion per year. That's slope. And so this was my y-intercept. And the slope. Okay, so I have my y-intercept and my slope is 407 times the number of years, and then plus that initial value, which would be 60 million, or billion. Wow, okay. So, and then part B is asking us, that was A, part B is asking us to estimate the number of text messages sent in 2012. So 2012, first we want to figure out how many years past 2006 is that. And that would tell us our x. So in this case, it is 6. Okay, so we're going to figure out when we plug in 6 for x, how many text messages are being sent. Okay, 407 times 6 plus 60 is approximately 2,502, but we're in billions. That's our units, right? Because it's representing billions here. So 2502. So we've got hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. So we're actually up into the trillions. So 2,502 billions is the same thing as about 2.5 trillion text messages were sent in 2012.